A lot is happening with this current Auburn Tiger football roster, transfer portal, recruiting. It's all going down. Let's talk about it on this Friday edition of the Uptempo podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, Auburn family? What's up, Uptempo gang? Thank God it is Friday, man. We made it to another weekend. I'm your host, Dustin Smith, joined as always by my guy, Blake Lane. And Blake, we don't have any football this weekend, brother. Tough. We got Army Navy, I guess. We got Army Navy. We got some D2 playoffs. How are you today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Just dealing with some Christmas plays, and my daughter, she's in the thick of that right now. Watch Cam Coleman win a state title. All right.
Congrats.
Yeah, man. Big props to him. It's been getting a little wicked on the Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Apparently I'm slobbering over a high school kid or whatever, but I think the Auburn fans showed out for Cam Coleman. We were all, if we couldn't be in attendance, we were all watching. And, him taking that 73 yarder to the house, man, I feel like, you can call it what you want if you're from the other side of the state, but you got to feel good to see a young five-star plus wide receiver that is committed to Auburn. You got to feel good about that. When you see things like that, and you got to feel good about a guy like him to come in here and change the face at a position that you've struggled at for years. So I'm excited about that. I know the season's over, but the portal's heating up, Dustin. Recruiting talk is heating up. I just feel like the positivity of the program, I'm going to keep pushing that home as long as we have this platform to sit here and talk about it, is what the staff has done right before we started doing this podcast today. I get on Twitter and see that Josh Aldridge has a top 5 linebackers class. I mean, where's the excitement at, man? It's right here on the plains, and the job that this staff has done, it's incredible. It's incredible. So I just feel like the things that we're headed towards are going to make us forget about losing to a New Mexico State really, really fast. And that's what I'm excited about, Dustin.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you said, mentioned Cam Coleman, man. Shout out to Cam Coleman. Congratulations. You talk about that 73-yard touch, the clutch. I mean, he's got all the tools. You know that he's got every physical tool, every physical attribute in the world. He catches everything that's thrown his way. It's unreal. But what's about 9 minutes to go when he makes that play? Thompson had just pulled within one. They just kicked the field goal to make it 14-13. They pulled within one, and then Cam bust off a slant route, just takes it to the house. He said after in the post game, he said, "I saw grass and green means go." So yeah, man, congratulations to him. A hell of a performance. Got MVP of the 7A state championship in Alabama. So yeah, dude, that was a fun game to watch. And what are we supposed to do, man? He's the highest rated receiver that we've ever had committed, and we've struggled to pass the ball to epic proportions at this point. Of course, we're going to be excited, man. And it's funny. It's funny when the other side of the state starts having to create burner accounts and start attacking the parents of guys you're trying to recruit to make it look like it's Auburn fans, or completely starting rumors out of nowhere about Perry Thompson, who I'm telling y'all is coming to Auburn. Don't let any of that mess get to your head. That's all just stuff that they start when they have to start doing that tells you something, because they're probably sitting back saying, boy, it took a miracle this time, and they didn't have any receivers, and they didn't have any pass rushers. What's going to happen when they get these guys? Because I mean, DeMarcus Reddick, if I remember right, Nick Saban personally drove him up to the whatever they call their Tiger Walk of Champions, I believe. For their spring game. So and they wanted Perry, regardless of what they'll tell you. And that's why I think it's funny to see this kind of revamped interest from their side on Perry, because it's like, well, y'all told me a month ago he was overrated and he sucked, and now all of a sudden you're trying to play all kind of mental games to try to make it look some kind of way. So yeah, that's just signs that we're back, baby. Just signs that we're on the way back. We ain't back, but we're on the way back. And what I want to talk about today, Blake, was want to get ready to look at some of these guys that are transferred out
Mhm.
because like me and you, we were kind of talking at the end of the season, just in our own, our own private discussions, and we were both interested to see which way this goes. Would it be a mass exit of guys, or would it just be guys that not really main contributors, right? Like guys that we can, I hate to say it, but afford to lose, guys that you're not really going to kill yourself over. And looking at it so far, you've had Anichi Sledge, Marquise Gilbert announced today, Tyler Fromm, Malcolm Johnson Jr., Jair Shorter, Steven Sings, Amari Kelly, and then Steven Johnson have all announced their intentions to go to hit the transfer portal. And then Jalen Simpson, DJ James, Nehemiah Pritchett have accepted invites for the Senior Bowl. And then
Mhm.
Oscar Chapman is expected to turn pro, as well as Marcus Harris. So far, those are the guys that we are expected to, or that we're going to lose. And there's a couple of more that'll obviously kind of leak in here. But Blake, let's just start with this. Not really anybody that we could afford to lose, right? What does that kind of tell you about the culture that Hugh Freeze has built? And it seems like that the majority of this locker room is bought in for the future.
That's it. I believe this team is bought in. You haven't lost anybody that you're just sitting here panicking over, right? You, I keep saying this to some of our members. Auburn's in a good spot, Dustin. And I know some, like you said, will trickle in, and we're going to lose that one where we're like, oh, damn, I can't believe he's leaving. But it hasn't happened just yet. And I think Dylan at the college loop is keeping like a tracker of
Yeah,
the
yeah, on his
production that
Twitter he
Auburn has
is.
lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been updating, and if you really look at it, Auburn hasn't lost production. And I know Marquise Gilbert announced today. We lost a depth piece there. I think he played 40 something snaps
Yeah.
this year. Um, so it hurts to lose depth in that safety position. But that's a position that I'm not really worried about at Auburn right now. And I know, you might say, "Oh, we're thin there." Yeah, but we got Zach there. We know he's going to bring in elite talent. We know we're going to hammer the secondary in the transfer portal. We know we're going to go get guys this year there. Um,
You got the number one JUCO safety coming in Laquan Robinson already.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm not sitting here sweating like a Nietzsche Sledge. I just don't think he was ever going to get on the field at Auburn. I don't
Yeah.
think he was a Harsin guy, and I just don't think that it was ever going to work here. And so, okay, like Steven Sings, that's not a big loss to me. And look, we're not downing guys or anything. I'm just saying like Steven Sings wasn't ever going to play a snap at Auburn. It just wasn't going to happen. And so I'm still sitting here like, okay, Auburn's in a good spot. I know that the portal's going to close, and then when spring comes, it'll open again, and Auburn will lose more guys. But right now, I look at other programs and like what Georgia might be losing or what an Ohio State might be losing. I know they've had a couple guys. Kyle McCord comes out of nowhere and he announces, "Hey, I'm out of here." We haven't lost that guy yet. And so at the end of the day, man, I think you take a step back and you look at it and you say Hugh Freeze has preached to this team that there's a change happening and this team is buying in. And the guys that are staying with this team, they've listened to Hugh, they've bought in, and they're ready to turn this program around. You're ready to turn it from a program to a program. And I think we're headed there, man. And I'm not saying that, we're going to turn this thing around in year 2 and go 10-2
Right.
or 11-1. But you can slowly see the writing on the wall.
When you take that, Blake, when you combine that, the guys that are currently in the locker room, when the enthusiasm that this recruiting class that's coming in has to be at Auburn. I mean, you see how excited Walker White and Perry Thompson have been for a long time.
Hmm.
You combine that with getting them in here with guys like Keontae Scott, who it appears like is going to return next year. Those guys like that are hungry, that really want to bring Auburn back and see some success at Auburn. So I think it's a great recipe, man, and it really fires me up. But the main topic, Blake, of this whole portal discussion, and boy, If this week didn't show you anything with these playoff rankings, quarterback, brother. Everyone loves to focus on the quarterback, and I know it's the most important position on the field, but goodness gracious, this is the main hot topic. Everybody wants to know what is going on here at quarterback, and Auburn hasn't really been that active. We haven't, or at least we haven't heard anything. Right, there hasn't been anything public. We go back to last year, and Auburn made no secret about it. We were trying to get Grayson McCall, and if the academics would have worked out, he most likely wouldn't have been at Auburn. What was the kid that ultimately ended up going to Kentucky? Leary. We flirted with him. We flirted with the kid that also from Nebraska that ultimately went to go to FAU. That's now on his 17th season of college football. And then Peyton Thorne. So we entertained a lot of portal QBs last year, and it was public knowledge. So this year it's been pretty quiet. And so I've done a little digging on this, and basically what the kind of the game plan here is. Look, for one, Hugh doesn't feel like they put PT in the best position for a large portion of this season. We all know why. They're rotating the quarterbacks, not running the offense. Our guy Mike G was reporting throughout the year that we would practice a game plan for a couple of days in practice, then scrap that halfway through the week and go to something else. Obviously, the first half of the season, just the whole Philip Montgomery and Hugh Freeze thing, it didn't work. And I think that Hugh knows that, obviously, and he knows that didn't put Peyton in the best position to be successful. And then on top of that, you just missed when it comes to outside receivers. And the guys that you had on the roster, outside receivers, Camden Browns and things like that. Look at the Amari Kelly drop when he was wide open. Those opportunities, when they were there, those guys really didn't step up and make those plays. So there just wasn't a lot of help for PT on the outside. Specifically, we had some decent production out of slot receiver from with VAR and Jay, and then obviously our guy Caleb Burton came on late. But the feeling inside that building right now is more of, listen, portal quarterbacks cost a lot of money, the big time ones, and I don't think that Hugh and the staff see a guy out there they have to have. Is Cam Ward worth $1.5 million? Probably not. Not for a 1 year. And I think the feeling, Blake, is that we'll take that money and we'll put that in a 5-star, 4-star guy coming out of high school, or maybe a can't miss guy that they really believe in the portal. We had the big offensive lineman from Indiana visit today, and apparently everything went well. So I think the feeling there is, hey, we got some holes to fill. We're gonna need to. We talked about the secondary in the first segment. We're gonna have to fill some holes in that secondary. We can't play all young guys next year. We need to go out and get an experienced DB or two. So we're going to take that money and divvy it up and put it on guys that could be here for a while. Let's give Cam Coleman all the money he wants. Let's make sure Perry's happy, Jamonte Waller, all those guys that'll be here for 3 or 4 years versus paying, like I said, up to $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, which is what some of these high-end portal quarterbacks are asking. And then you look at it, and they're not even really high-end. I like Riley Leonard, but he
stays hurt a lot.
He stays hurt a lot, and it's not a guarantee. It's not like that guy comes to Auburn and boom, here we're going. You have a lot of the same questions. So when you combine all that on top of, hey, what if we bring Peyton back next year, run the offense we ran from the Mississippi State game on, and put better weapons around him? Now he's had a year under his belt. We know his strengths. We know his weaknesses. He's more acclimated to the SEC defenses, because I think that Peyton played well in the Georgia game. If he had some outside receivers that made some plays, that looks a whole lot different. His adjusted completion percentage in the Bama game and the Georgia game, that'll tell you that if you put the weapons around him, and Auburn's not in position to win a national championship next year. So I think that the thinking is, hey, let's take this NIL money. Let's put the pieces around Peyton, and he can have a good year next year, and we can win 8-9 games if everything goes right. Versus spending the money on a 1-year rental, getting a new guy in. It might take him half the season before he gets acclimated to the system in the SEC, and you just kind of wasted your time when you could have brought back in Peyton. Me and you both expect Robbie to leave in the spring when he graduates. You can bring Holden in as your number 2. And easily sell him on, hey, man, okay, now you're the backup. Once Peyton goes, you are the future. Then you got Walker White's in there at 3rd. So then you get to groom Walker. You're the next man up. And Peyton ran the ball a lot this year, right? Peyton wasn't scared. Go back to the Arkansas where he trucked a boy and left him on the ground. Peyton's not scared to put his nose in there. So if you can easily sell Holden on, hey man, you're the backup and you're one play away. So I think that Blake is kind of the future of the quarterback room. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, we kind of thought that we were going to go to the portal, right? Midway through the year, we were like, oh, there's no way that we don't go to the portal. But then, like you were talking about, man, we started checking the price tags on some of these guys. And when you start talking about $1 million for what, 12 games, 13 games? So you're going to pay $1.2 million to a guy to come here for 13 weeks. Like, come on, man. Like, let's like Dustin said, let's split that up and go after an LJ McCray.
Yes, sir.
And I start looking at some of these numbers from some of these guys, and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna give a guy 1.2 million for a 57% completion percentage. I don't know about that, man.
Right.
I don't know about
Right.
that. Like, I don't know if I can get on board with it. When you start breaking down some of these price tags, and look, Riley Leonard, man, I would love to have Riley Leonard at Auburn, but apparently something happened and Notre Dame come a calling, and the price tag was a little too much, and he took a visit, and I don't know, but what I would rather do is, like you said, let's split this money up, man, and hey, let's go attack the portal. Let's go attack guys in the trenches where we need the help. You mentioned the offensive lineman from Indiana. I saw Babysitter Bari. I saw him retweet something a while ago, and like you said, the visit went great, and he put a War Eagle on there and everything. So like, it seems like things are trending in the right direction. You go get a couple pieces in the D line, and one thing that I do really like, man, is a guy like Marcus Harris is going, expected to go pro.
Right.
I'm not going to say he's going just yet, but expected to go pro. He's on Twitter actively recruiting kids to come to Auburn.
Yeah.
Like, guy hit the portal from Florida today. All right. First tweet I see, Marcus Harris. He's like, you know the move, bro. Okay. Marcus Harris is bought in, folks.
Yeah.
Marcus Harris gets it. He understands it. He wants Auburn to win. All right. But like, honestly, man, you look at PT, and people want to come at me when I say that he played like a dog in the Iron Bowl. He stepped up. He battled. People are like, he didn't battle. He was 5 of 16 for 90 yards. All right, but man, go back and watch that football game. I know it hurts to watch, to go back and watch. I know it hurts, but go back and watch the game, man. Like Dustin said, you adjust that completion percentage, and he's more along the lines of 12 of 16 after you account all those drops and everything. Like, I mean, Rivaldo, the second play of the game was standing out of bounds, and PT threw a dart to him. Like, bro, that's the stuff that can't happen. And then at the 50, right before the half, like, PT put one right in his bread basket. Could it have been a better ball? Yeah, but it still hit you in the hands, baby. You play D1 football. You got to catch that. You're in the greatest conference in America. And especially when you're playing a team. Yeah, you're playing a team like Alabama. You got to make those plays if you want to beat teams like that. So, and it brings me to guys like in the portal, like MJJ, Malcolm Johnson Jr., right? The ball down the sideline against Georgia. Dog. That's why he's in the portal.
Right.
I hate to say that, but we got to make that play. Omar Kelly at Vanderbilt. Everybody's like, oh, well, we only beat Vanderbilt 31-15. Well, we had a 70-yard bomb for a tutter. Come on now. Like, hey, there's a reason why these guys are in the portal, all right? It's because we're looking to upgrade and get better. And I know that sounds harsh, and I know it sucks, but we got to make improvements, man. And when I look at the QB spot, I'm 100% on the same side as Dustin here. I just don't know if we can fork out all of this NIL money to go get a quarterback. And one thing I want everybody to remember is PT was not here last spring. TJ Finley took those reps. TJ Finley took those reps.
Yeah.
All right. He wasn't here last spring. He didn't get to go through an A-Day. He didn't get to go through spring ball. Let the man get a full camp. Let him get his time in here. All right. Let him work through spring ball. Get really, really comfortable and mesh well with these new receivers. Go through summer, constantly working, throwing with the receivers, and then go through fall camp, man. This is a guy that was rushed into Auburn last year. I think we forget that a lot of the times. And then the disaster of the early season offense, he went through a lot, man. He really did. When we break it down and really go back and look at it, PT went through a lot. And I think we criticize him a whole lot. And I'm guilty of it. I know a lot of people who are guilty of it. But we really were harsh on the kid. But when Hugh took over the offense, it started turning around a little bit. And so, yeah, it's difficult, man. Like, everybody keeps screaming for a quarterback, but I think it's really, really hard for me to look at the list of quarterbacks. Even Grayson McCall, that's a 1-year rental.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I want 10. I want 10. For 13 weeks? You want him for 13 weeks? Like,
stayed banged up all year last year, too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. My biggest thing is if you go get a portal quarterback, all right, and you bring him in, so now you basically wasted everything you did with PT.
Right.
And I know that might sound crazy to some, but you basically gave PT that NIL, and you basically went through a whole season with PT trying to get him accumulated to your offense, and then you just throw it away. I'm on that line of, I think it's going to be PT, and I think Hugh is confident in PT, and it tells me that one thing, Hugh has to amp up the offensive line again. He's got to go get guys, all right? And like you said, he's got to put weapons around him. We know Cam Coleman's going to play. We know Perry Thompson's going to play. You're going to have a Caleb Burton back. You're hopefully Jay Fair comes back. All right, you're gonna have some nice pieces around him. Yeah, I think they're looking at a guy from Coastal, a wide receiver from Coastal. You're gonna have some dudes, and I think Hugh also knows, Dustin, that he missed on some wide receivers, and he can't let that happen again.
Yeah.
And you know, I really look at our wide receivers not being able to separate last year, man. And I think PT knew that. And I think sometimes he was a little scared to pull the trigger on some throws, to where he was just kind of like, one that really kind of bugs me is that 4th down throw against Georgia, the last throw of the game. It was what, 4th and 4, 4th and 5, and we had to pick up that first against Georgia, and he kind of sailed it a little high. I just think our receivers not being able to get a whole lot of separation kind of struggled with him last year. So, and the inconsistency of the offensive line, you could, in the Texas A&M game, I mean, in my opinion, he just couldn't take his eyes off the line, because he was like, hey, our guys, they're struggling, and he'd try to spin move and get out of it, and it wouldn't work, So I think Hugh is confident in Peyton, though. And that's where I sit on paying a guy $1.2 million for 13 weeks of play. I don't think Auburn's on board with it, and I don't think it happens. And like you said, is one of those guys that much better? Can they elevate this team that much? I don't think so.
That's an important piece of the conversation, Blake. It's like, so if you got Cam Ward, if what we saw out of Cam Ward at his height, if you got that every week, is that an upgrade from PT? Yeah, probably. But even then, what does that get you, right? Like, you're still going to be super young at a lot of spots. You're still going to be thin in certain positions.
Mhm.
Yes, like Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson are weapons. They're also freshmen.
Yeah.
Bryce Kane and Malcolm Simmons are elite weapons. They're hell of athletes that will be dangerous with the ball in their hands. They're freshmen. Bryce Kane's played football for what, 3 years?
Yeah.
So so like no matter what, that's a key part of the conversation, in my opinion, is do we pay this money for a guy that even if at his best, what does it get us to? 9-3 versus 7-5, 8-4. Like this team is not a quarterback away from winning the SEC or competing in the playoff next year. It's just not. Because there's no Cam Newtons out there. And a big part of the Cam Newton thing that's always forgot is that he had a senior veteran offensive line with an extremely good college running back in Ontario McCaleb that knew his role, and a really good college running back in Michael Dyer that if he would have kept his head on straight, this guy would have been the limit for the kid. So Cam Newton, did he elevate an Auburn team that otherwise would have been 9-3, 8-4? Yes, but he had some pieces around him. One, there's no Cam Newtons out there. They don't. Those are generational guys, right? And
Yeah.
two, we're still not even in the position to where if you got a guy similar to that.
Mhm.
And I don't, and I'm not, don't misquote me here. Don't hear me wrong when I say this, but I'm not expecting this kind of year next year out of Peyton Thorne. But you can look at guys like Joe Burrow and say, hey, that first year, okay, getting your feet under you, and that second year, it went a lot better, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that we're going to run it back with PT. And right now, and barring some kind of Hugh having this big trick up his sleeve, and there being some there's always a mystery guy, right, Blake? There's some mystery quarterback out there. But no, I'm content with where we sit, man. I really am. And I like me and you talked about on the live show the other night. Would we take our lumps next year playing a whole bunch of sophomores and freshmen? Yes, we would. But I think it would be really exciting. So before we get out of here, Blake, you got anything you want to say to the people?
Look, continue to be excited, man. This program is going places, and I keep want to hammer in home the job that they're doing in recruiting. And you can clearly see that through social media and the coaches at certain high schools posting pictures and saying, hey, this coach was here, this coach was here.
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze making his rounds, man. It speaks volumes to kids just to see the faces and making relationships and everything like that. uh, like I said the other night, college football is won with Jimmys and Joes. You got to have the guys to win in college football. um, and Auburn just isn't there right now, but we're getting there. That's the biggest thing, and it's the continuous effort of the staff. And I'm excited to play in a bowl game.
Yeah, can't wait.
Like it's big. I don't care if it's the Music City Bowl in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't. I preached on that all year long. Was that this program needed a bowl game, and we needed the bowl practices, and we needed the momentum going into next year. And we didn't get the Birmingham Bowl, and that's great. But I think we got a quality opponent in Maryland. I think
Yeah.
that's going to test us. Our guys that did accept Senior Bowl invitations and things like that, they're playing in the bowl game. I think that's awesome. I think that's another Hugh Freeze mentality that he has preached upon this team, and they have accepted that. That's big to me to see those guys playing. So at the end of the day, Dustin, I'm just excited, man. Like it feels good to be excited about Auburn football. And I told Dustin this before. As an Auburn fan, I love how excited we get about basketball, man. I love it, y'all. Like Auburn basketball is great. It is fun. The jungle is amazing. But Auburn's a football school, man. Auburn's a football school. All right. And I want to get back to Auburn being Auburn on that gridiron. I want Auburn to get back right to where a bad season is 9-3. All right. And
Yeah.
we're sitting here scratching our heads going, man, God, we went 9-3,
Yeah.
dude. Like, we got to mirror LSU in a way, and that's where I want Auburn to be, and look, I know we got a basketball game this week, a big basketball game
Big time,
this
baby.
weekend.
Big time.
We got to bounce back. We got to shoot it better. I know we haven't been talking a whole lot of college basketball
It's
because
coming.
yeah, it's coming, but we got to shoot it better, man. And we're still young. If you're panicking about basketball, calm down. We're gonna be okay. Um, we're gonna get right, man. Denver Jones, he's gonna get better. He's gonna step up. We know he'll find his shot. Aiden, be patient with him.
Yeah, young.
He'll get there, man. We'll be all right on the hardwood.
Yeah, depending on how I'm feeling, so I'm not making any promises. If I'm feeling okay, I might live stream that game. So
Yeah.
we'll see how I'm feeling. Before I got here, Blake, I wanted to shout out Connor Liu, Keldrick Falk, and our guy McPherson, all freshmen, SEC all freshman list. Congrats, guys. I didn't nail a whole lot of my preseason predictions, but I did nail Connor Liu and Keldrick Falk, about the only ones that I got right. So you shout out to those guys, man. Congratulations. Well earned, well deserved. We look forward to you guys being building blocks for this Auburn program in the future. It was fun. So, Connor just answered the bell right away. And to watch Keldrick kind of get better every single game, he really turns it on in that second half. So, hell yeah, man. It's good stuff to see. And then, our guy Simp accepted that invitation to the Senior Bowl there. Just well earned, man. A guy that the switch from cornerback to safety made all the difference in the world for him. He's going to make a lot of money now. And like you've mentioned a million times on our podcast, bro, just a guy that's all about Auburn. Rode through 3 head coaches, like in the era of the transfer portal, man. Like Simp's a guy that I'm really going to hold a special place in my heart. I'm forever going to love, because he could have went somewhere. He could have got a lot more wins under his belt and that kind of thing. But he loves Auburn, and that means the world to me. So shout out to all our guys getting postseason awards. We love all y'all, man. Appreciate your hard work this year. War Damn Eagle. Like I said, if I'm feeling okay, check out for that live stream Saturday. Can't make any promises. We'll see how that goes. I hope I can. And then Sunday at our regular time at 3 p.m. We'll see y'all guys in. War Damn Eagle. We're out.
War Damn, baby.